Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me as always my co-host, Jose Romero.
Greetings, salutations, nerds around the world. We're back at it again in a very slow week, but that doesn't mean we have nothing to talk about. There's always something to talk about.
Sometimes we've been building this something to talk about for a very long time.
That's true. This is going to be our full intro to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad. Of course, a project by Mr. Da Silva, which we'll get into in great detail. As they say, he's revving up for release. I was very excited about that.
So it's not a slow news day. It's a news day that's a long time coming.
Fair enough. But it's not,
along with other stuff that we can nerd out about.
It's like a beginning of sorts, because we do have some endings to talk about. At least one ending, some beginnings,
absolutely.
You know, the stuff in between. And
Sure.
Still, the world's still talking about the MCU and Robert Downey. We might go back and kind of circle back on that now that we've had time to digest that information we talked about after Comic-Con.
I got a little bit of I don't know if it's considered a hot take or if it's an Easter egg that I kind of put together because I watched Deadpool Wolverine with my kids, and I wanted to kind of put this out there for everybody. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen, I'm going to put this out there.
They've seen Deadpool. Everybody's seen Deadpool.
I mean, clearly. If you when a Wolverine and Deadpool confront Cassandra Nova, and she takes out the sling ring, she goes, "I got this from an amateur magician, and I wore his skin as a suit for 4 days after I killed him." Remember that whole scene?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That wasn't Strange. That was Ned.
Oh, Ned. What, really?
Yeah, because think about it. He had a sling ring in No Way Home. That's how he was able to get the Peter Parkers to him. And not for nothing, but if you're going to kill somebody and wear their skin like a suit, who's easier to wear? Benedict Cumberbatch or Ned?
That's true. It's very Buffalo Bill-esque of you to bring that up, but yeah. It's a deep cut right there. Deep cut for those who know.
I know my killers.
Deep cut for those who know.
So deep cut. It wasn't Strange. It was Ned.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
It means nothing. It doesn't change anything about it. But I just wanted you to know how messed up Cassandra Nova really was. I felt we should all agree.
I would have been cool. Actually, we just said that would have been kind of cool. But whatever.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But when she said amateur, I was like, Strange wasn't an amateur for a really long time.
Right. Yeah, you're totally right.
But Ned was a straight up amateur. So
he should have had his head like a deer in the wall.
They would have to pay Sony money for that. Like it's bad enough you got to pay Sony.
It's Sony, yeah, you're right.
To get Tom Holland, but to pay for Ned, I mean, come on, let's be honest here.
Oh God, that would have been kind of interesting. But oh well, yeah, no. Great movie. If you guys haven't seen it, you should have seen it.
It's a great movie.
Speaking of things I don't know if people have seen or not a lot of, and I'll start with this first before I get to them. That's Batman. Caped Crusader. We do a lot of MCU. I haven't talked about DC. Let's give some DC a little bit of love because we got the.
And first of all, not only give DC a little bit of love, but like what an accomplishment, because this series was supposed to be canceled, if you remember.
Yeah, it was originally going to be on Max, like
right.
Yeah,
and then it got canceled, but they let us sell it to somebody else. And Zaslav was like, all right, there we go. And then Amazon came in a pinch and spent money because money means nothing to them because they own everything.
Of course. But yeah, so it dropped, 8 episodes, right? No, 10. 10 episodes.
8 episodes, roughly. Yeah. 8 maybe 10, but
I think it was 10. Either way.
Something like that.
25 minutes, 20 minutes. It was short, kind of it reminded me of the animated series. Not quite.
A real similar,
very similar,
Cousins,
right?
if you will.
Yeah, exactly. The taking place back in the 40s, 30s, whatever time frame it is. And a young I guess a Batman who's just still living on reputation.
Right.
No one knows so it's early on Batman, and overall, listen. This is a very cool show. It was very good. I liked it. I mean, I love it. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen. I don't think it's as good as the animated series. It's not a knock on it, but it was cool, and I liked the approach it took because we see the usual characters, the Gordons and Harvey Dents, but you got the full array of villainy, the Rogues Gallery, of course.
Well, there was a version of
that's what I'm saying. But they did a different take on them, which I enjoyed.
Right.
It wasn't it wasn't status quo. We got new versions of Penguin, Clayface, and
For the
Talia
most
Ghul. For the
part,
most part, yeah.
most of them were much closer to their original Golden Age
Fair,
take.
sure, but not something that most people would know about, right, or are familiar with,
Right.
right? So,
Right.
so I'm glad they kind of brought that out because there's something different. It's not status quo Batman. So it changes a little bit, but it was a cool show. I really liked it, man. Animation's good, and I like this style.
Can,
And it's
can I
Batman.
can I can I give you a hot take?
Sure.
Uh, I I thought it was okay.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I didn't really like it.
Like I
And
said, I didn't love it. I thought it was okay. I thought it was cool. It was cool.
And here's the thing: I wanted to love it. And listen, it's me. I am prone to enjoy 85% of the stuff that comes out, and I'm watching it, and I felt like some of the episodes were good. Some of it felt like a little bit of a slog. Like it was just a little slower than I would have anticipated to going into this thing, especially where how, in my humble opinion, how tight a lot of the original Batman animated series episodes were. This one felt a little bit slower paced, and I did like them using more, for lack of a better term, street level villains. Like there was nobody too.
Sure.
There was no Mr. Freeze. There was no over the top Clayface. You got sort of like a very low street level
no Joker,
face shifting. No Joker, even though spoiler.
Well,
there's a hint of it at the
hint,
very,
of
very end of the
course, but,
season.
but he wasn't shown at all.
Right. But then what really bothered me? It was Two-Face. Two-Face bothered me, and I'll tell you why. The whole thing about Two-Face is that he's supposed to be a good guy who's barely clinging on, and then when he gets turned to Two-Face, he loses everything and goes full chaos. Right? This Harvey Dent really didn't have anything that redeeming to begin with. It almost like the show went out of its way to let you know his good guy persona is the mask. He's actually not that good of a guy.
That's fair. I didn't get that vibe, but I was just watching it, but
sure,
but that's a fair take. Yeah.
And when they did the whole Two-Face, look, listen, I've yet to see a bad Two-Face. Even Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face has its charm, only because his face is so red. You can tell, to me, I'm like, that's a Two-Face who's been picking his scabs and didn't listen to his doctor saying stop picking at it. In my head, there's a movie between Batman Returns and Batman
Forever.
What's Batman 2?
Is it Batman? Wait, which is the one?
Batman Forever, Batman Returns.
Yeah, Batman. That was.
Right. There's a movie between Returns and Forever where Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face, his Two-Face face is all scabbed and he's constantly picking at it. That would have been an amazing movie to watch, but we didn't get that movie. And but that red kind of, for me, I like to headcanon the whole thing. And then you have Dark Knight, which is one of the best Two-Faces ever, in my opinion. Well, but also animated series Two-Face, big green face with a giant eyeball and all that awesome. This Two-Face was like, oh, let's do Dark Knight Two-Face, but animated. But what makes the realistic approach to Two-Face work in Dark Knight is because everything is leveled reality. And if you're going to do an animated series, you're throwing away a massive potential for a really cool visual that maybe you can't pull off in a live action movie. And that sort of they played everything so conservatively that I felt like you missed out on a lot of cool visuals that you could have gotten away with being an animated series.
Yeah, it was a very safe,
very
show, right?
Not a lot of risk, and the risk they took, I thought they'd be like, "Oh, this is gonna be pushing." I'm like, really? It's not. It's just
no. I don't think that anything. I don't know if they were trying to do something risky. I don't think so. Personally.
Like Harley Quinn being an Asian bisexual woman or an Asian lesbian woman, I couldn't tell what it was. I'm like, okay, sure.
I mean,
it wasn't like.
That's par for the course. I mean,
right.
That's not
I
new.
really wasn't that sold on I also didn't like her costume. I thought it was a little bit. To me, Harley Quinn as a character, out of the whole series, it came off a little too try-hard. Let's really make her different
not
and
every
her own.
choice worked. I just like the idea of them trying something different, right?
I mean,
like the idea of okay, it doesn't always hit, and I agree with that. But at least hey, They could have given us the
It
same old
was
Harley
different.
Quinn, could have gotten the same old Penguin. So I like that fact. Okay, they tried. It was safe in some ways and kind of, I'll say risk taking is not the right word, but definitely some liberties with the property
So
that
let me
we're
ask
not
you a
familiar
question.
with.
Out of all the episodes we saw, what would you say your favorite 3 episodes were? While you're thinking, I'll give you my 3 because this is dead air.
I
So
like the Talia Gould one.
the which one?
Was it Talia Gould, the girl? She was taking the powers from the kids. That was an interesting episode.
Oh yeah.
That was a cooler episode. Yeah, that was interesting.
That was another thing too. This season, leaned a little bit more on magic than I thought they were going to do.
Yeah, it was kind of like that was the one that kind of like teetered that stretching out the unsafe Batman. That was cool.
Right.
I liked that episode.
Yeah.
I like the Penguin one because that's a good intro to the show.
Penguin was actually a surprisingly good episode.
Yeah, that
really surprised me how much I liked that one.
That set the tone for the series. Like, okay, they gave us everything we wanted. It was safe, but some risk. Set the character.
I like the fact that it ended on Batman realizing, "Ooh, I kind of messed up."
Right, exactly. Yeah,
kind of right. Yeah,
he's infallible. So he made him humanize him. That was a cool episode, a standout episode as well. The Clayface was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
I actually liked the Clayface one. That was one of my favorite ones. Yeah,
I like the idea of it that the whole time that this Clayface, okay, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
But it was okay. But those are the 2 that really stood out. Like, okay, those were cool episodes for me.
I like the Clayface episode. I like the Firebug episode a lot.
Firebug, there you go. Okay, there you go.
I like that episode.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I don't know if it's because I enjoyed the whole Golden Age noir aspect of it, or I'm just partial to this villain, and I like the way they did it. I really like the Onomatopoeia episode.
Which one?
Onomatopoeia, the guy with the black mask with the bullseye, and he just said all the drip, bang, boom, all that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Only because it was a clever way to insert Biff, bang, pow while I was fighting Batman. I was like, all right,
that was cool.
It was all worth it just for that one.
That was cool. Yeah.
WandaVision was worth it to hear Vision go, "What is love? What is grief but love persevering?" And it became the whole that moment was like, I get it why you put him in this episode. It's worth it. Okay, fine, great.
Yeah,
so,
like I said, overall it's solid. It was good. I guess I enjoyed it. Yeah. It's not great. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it, but
I think I liked it a little bit less than you, but I still saw its merits.
It was a good effort.
I wanted a little more.
Yeah, I think if there's season 2 that they kind of not really push the envelope now. With Stab versus going on in this world, let's really go for it.
I will say. The dude who did Batman's voice, very close to Kevin Conroy. I really like that.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. It was good. I didn't forget about Kevin Conroy, but it was a good choice, right? Again, nothing too different, where it's off-putting, but it was just kind of like, and still kind of familiar. Like, okay, it harkens back to that.
Yeah, very much so.
That's what I liked. It was really cool. So I guess it's a fun show, and DC fan, so we'll check it out. This could have been on Max. I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I get why you didn't do it. It's fine, fair enough. They're doing their own thing, and that's okay. The other one is worth discussing is Game of Thrones. House of Dragon just finished its 8-episode run. Well, I think last time we spoke was the 4th episode, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I would say the second half of the season was as good as the first half. It was still good. The finale was a little let down for me.
Really? I actually liked the last episode.
I liked it. It's just a lot of setup, not a whole lot of payoff. Which is what the show normally does, but we never got that big episode in 8 or 9, right? Where you can, let's exhale and then let's set up the next season, right? They say that for the middle of the season as opposed to closer to the end.
Yeah, I think the episode that was considered their big episode, well, I think there was 2 considered big episodes. The episode where Aemon burns his brother and kills the Queen Who Never Was, and then the episode when they have the tryout of the bastards to see who was going to tame dragons, and they end up getting 2 more riders.
That was a cool little section. That was a good episode. It was an awesome little ending. I thought that was really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, just having 3 dragons, like, what up? Like,
I know that. I love dragons, so overall, I guess I thought it was a better season than the first. I still really liked it. I just thought the ending didn't quite hit the mark I wanted it to hit. It was still good. And they set up a lot of cool shit we're going to see in the next couple of seasons, right?
Can I also mention, I think one of the reasons why I like this, once again, sometimes just a certain scene will seal the deal for me.
Sure. And
for me, the scene where when Joffrey, the King Joffrey, the kid who got burned.
Oh, right,
I
yeah.
forget, right, I
Aegon?
forget his name.
Aegon?
Yeah, Egon,
Aegon.
yeah. He when he was like, I don't have a cock anymore.
Oh,
They tell me it bursts it up like a sausage. I was like, oh god, oh
that was
that was not expected, but wow, visual. That's
that was when I was like,
picture.
oh god, that was. I didn't even think about that until he said it. God damn, he's
Yeah,
not
I
he's a
know.
eunuch.
No one did, and I was like, oh wow.
Talk about a guy who
And,
suffers, man. They kind of made him a sympathizing figure now.
No, he's not sympathetic. He deserved everything he got, but still, it's gross.
Did he though? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
He was a stubborn, entitled.
I mean, he was stubborn and type, but any king would do that. But I don't
Spoiled.
think he wasn't. He wasn't Joffrey.
He wasn't Joffrey.
He wasn't anywhere near that. He was just. He was a little petulant.
Right.
He wasn't seasoned enough to become king, but he was placed as king. That's
he didn't. Did he deserve as bad as he got? No. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He got a.
But I'm thinking more in the terms of like what a king should be. He did not take the role of being king seriously, and this series lets you know if you're not serious about being on the throne, you're gonna get got.
Oh no, listen, but I think like with the show, and I don't think that's a bad thing. This is not negative, but him because listen, now he's fearful of his brother, who is the Joffrey of the show, right?
Oh yeah,
right. So now you juxtapose that. Now he seems like the good guy, right? And look at he suffered. He lost that, poor guy. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see him come back and how he would be perceived, right? Because I got a feeling they're gonna turn what's her face, right, Rhaenyra, into more of the bad guy-ish role, potentially. I could see that kind of role reversal, her forcing it, which she had all the dragons, all the power. I could see that, which I'm cool with. I have no problem with that. I think that's an interesting way to go.
It's interesting you say that. I know people who have read the books. I have not read all the books, so I don't know. But I've had friends who tell me who have read the books, and it's interesting you say that because she, even though this season she ended up on top, third season it is a spiral. Let's put it like that.
I don't doubt it. I mean, I expect nothing else from this show.
Yeah.
Listen, it was still a very excellent season, without question.
Yeah.
Excellent. Just didn't end as what I hoped.
One of the best series of 2024.
Oh no, yeah, easy, of course, yeah. That's no dispute. Well, like I said, it was still great, no doubt about it. Just, I think there should have been 3 seasons. I saw someone read the books and they told me, I don't know about it, but he's saying that there should be no more than 2 to 3 seasons. He's afraid they're stretching it out to 4. Maybe
I think
too much.
They do 4 or 5. To be honest with
you, they announced 4 is the final one. They did announce 4.
Oh, okay, all right.
They did come out recently and said that officially. So it's just a matter of maybe he's afraid things might get stretched out too much, out of filler when they can go quicker. Right. So I don't know.
Well, they're also getting that they just sort of released a little teaser for that Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, like another prequel, right? I guess.
Not a prequel, but sort of like tangentially to what's happening now.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I think
it's a prequel.
Not 100%. I don't know.
Well, a prequel to Game of Thrones and maybe adjacent to this whatever timeline.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, it looked pretty cool. HBO's gonna milk this. This is like The Walking Dead for AMC. They're gonna milk this shit. There's nothing left in that. It is what it is. And I'm not complaining because what they're giving us is great. So okay.
Yeah. Out of all the streaming services, sure, this is one of the best ones. This is a jewel on like their IP.
Yeah, this is their crown jewel. It really is, right? I mean, so I get it. As long as it's good, I don't care.
Yeah.
Upon The Walking Dead, it became just shit. Let's be honest. And all the spin-offs was shit, so that doesn't work. But I get why AMC did it because that was their crown jewel. This is business. I make money. I totally understand. Just focus on the quality. But these guys are focused on the quality.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to let what happened at the end of Game of Thrones happen to any future installments of the series.
No, yeah. Stick the landing.
That was a lesson there. On the plus side, the books are finished for this story, so
thank God.
Right, they have a roadmap here, so they don't have to guess or get creative or whatever the case is and screw everything up. So that's a good thing, what I'm saying. So if they follow the script, I hear the books are really good. If they follow the script, they're gonna be okay.
They'll be good.
It's easy. They have it there. We got a little time. Let's circle back here on this Robert Downey stuff. I know when we talked about it, it was literally just fresh.
Announced like day out. Yeah.
Like I learned about it right as before we hit the record button last week, 2 weeks ago. So it's still fresh, and I told you on the spot as the first you ever heard of it. We weren't sure the order of both the Avengers films that we talked about. Now we know that Doomsday is first,
and
next
then
year. Then
Secret Wars is
Secret
gonna stay
Wars
right. So
afterwards.
that's good.
I know at the time we weren't like jumping for joy at the idea. Like it wasn't a home run.
I think we all sort of were processing like, okay,
Right. It was.
what's this mean?
I kind of you and I had talked before with the rumors of it. And we weren't like, oh my god, that's a home run, right? It wasn't like we were like,
Right.
dude, yeah, Robert Downey, and I thought it was kind of a desperate move, and I think I'm still with that. I'm not saying it can't work. This could be great, for all we know. I don't know. Rousseau's coming
Sure.
back. The same writers could be the biggest. They are at the back, and MCU is the greatest thing. Fair enough, and I hope that's the case. But this just reeks of desperation. It still reeks of desperation. You hear the money he's getting paid, or rumored to get paid.
80 million for both movies. That means 40 mil per movie.
No, he's getting more than that because from what I read, the Russos are getting 80 million, right, for both movies, the Russo brothers. He was getting substantially more as a direct quote than the Russo brothers. Substantially more. Oof. I've heard things, and a lot of it has to do with back end stuff too. It's not straight salary, which well,
that's good. At least it's that, so it's not going out of pocket. You know what I mean?
We're still going out of pocket. It's coming out of the profit.
But it's not. It's not. They're not front loading their budget. It's back end budget. You know what I mean? Right. Like that's like.
I mean, from a budget standpoint, it looks better, but profit wise, it's the same thing. You know,
sure.
But it looks upward, from what I understand, over 100 each.
Oof.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And this I think of this like Marvel is saying we need a hit, right? They
don't need it. They need a massive.
Well, they need a massive hit, right? They need buzz. They need something positive. You know, Deadpool was great. Now I get it, but I think this was more of a this is a business move saying, hey, let's get excitement, let's get buzz. Let's put them in there for the sake of putting them in there, and that's what I'm afraid of, right? Just because they needed a big name, a familiar face, the guy who's carried the MCU. Well, one of the characters that carried the MCU, it was him, Captain Rogers. Just put him in there. Now he's a bad guy, and we'll pay him all this money. They could have paid a fraction to a host of other great actors who I thought would have been Doom just as good.
Cillian Murphy would have been a great Doom.
Tons of guys we could think of right now. Like, oh, he would have been like. I don't know. It's a lot, and paying the Russos, you're paying all this money. It's reeks of desperation. I don't know. I don't have confidence in this, and I don't know which direction to go with Robert Downey. This is going to be a variant. This is going to be a straight. You know,
it's gonna be a variant. I know it's gonna be.
I guess, but they haven't really said anything. But
not a variant. It's not gonna be a variant of Tony Stark. It's gonna be a variant of Victor Von Doom, who happens to look like our Tony Stark. That's what I think they're doing.
Which is, it makes sense. It'd be more interesting if he was a variant of Tony Stark, only from this. Which I wouldn't want to see it. I'm saying as far as like how the interaction with the other heroes, saying, oh, they're going up against some guy who looks like Tony Stark or is Tony Stark. Imagine like Spider-Man going against a father figure where he looked up to Stark. Having that, oh, damn, how can I fight this guy? I admit that's kind of interesting from that standpoint. If he's going to be a variant Doctor Doom, then it's kind of, at the same time, like if he's not, as the audience, you're like, okay, it's just weird. It's just saying this.
But I think that this Doom has gone through the multiverse, taking out multiverses, like owning it, controlling it, taking it over as part of his big plan. Because if you read the Secret War storyline, Doctor Doom unintentionally kicks off the collapse of the multiverse, and his last-ditch effort is to eventually create the war world or the battle world, which eventually becomes Secret Wars itself. So I think that this Doom has already taken out multiverses and is doing that accordingly. To save his universe or to minimize the damage of the collapse. And because of this, he knows that in, let's say, 57% of the multiverse, Iron Man looks like this. So he's changed himself to look like this. So when he shows up, everyone automatically is like, oh, it's Tony. And it's not until at the end he reveals he's actually Victor Von Doom, and this is his big plan. That's what I think.
So it's a combination of him being a variant and not, I guess. Is kind of what we're saying.
He is a variant of Doom, but because he's a multiversal Doom that's actively transversing the multiverse. I honestly think that this Doom is going to be the thing that kills off, maybe on screen, maybe off screen. It kills off the whole Council of Kangs. Like he is like, I own this. It's mine. Like,
yeah, I'm kind of curious. I mean, I think they just not even mentioned Kang if I were them, but whatever. I guess they could.
I think they're gonna show
maybe. I don't know.
In my opinion, you know how like at the beginning of Infinity War, it starts off with Thanos wrecking the Asgardians.
Sure.
And they mentioned, oh yeah, and we destroyed Xandar. By the way, it was such a big battle. It happened off screen just so you can show us murdering. I think it's going to start off with the Council of Kangs being destroyed, or the aftermath of being destroyed, and Doom walks in and he's like, perfect, like, it's mine.
It'd be cool if they actually did Kang right, but no one cares, and it's like that.
Not anymore.
That will hold me. Like, okay, he killed who's Kang anyway. Whatever.
Because they dropped the ball so.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to just now show that as the
so
intro.
Just show,
it's like
just so it's, if they can't show how cool he is, show how violent Doom is by murder by mass number.
I just don't like it. I got a feeling when they get just an evil Tony Stark. That's the impression I'm getting.
I think they probably wanted to start off evil Tony Stark, and then it became Doom that looks like Tony Stark.
Maybe. I guess I don't know what direction to go in. I got a feeling it's going to be a variant. I really do, of Tony Stark.
You think it's going to be a variant of Tony Stark?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think. I mean, to be wrong, I was just speculation. We've heard both. I've heard both things.
Right.
He's a variant, or he's Doctor Doom. I don't know, but I don't know, man. To me, it's very distracting. I get. Listen, this movie, with or without Robert Downey Jr., this movie will make the exact same money. It really will.
I think it'll make a little bit more.
It's the Avengers. That's $1 billion waking up in the morning. It just is.
I think
hiring Robert Downey Jr. or this is something. Two things here, right? Like, you introduce him now, you're gonna get just a quick buzz from the nerd. It's gonna go away in 6 months. Nobody cares. That's just how the news cycle works. This would have been so much better. If they're gonna do this, fine. Let's assume this was a variant Tony Stark. Fair enough. It could have been Doctor Doom with a mask, right? Which means you don't need Robert Downey Jr. He's gonna be if you don't take the mask off, he's no longer Doctor Doom, and that's already a problem. That's a problem. Right. You want to show his face? I don't like that. Which is why you don't get a guy like that. But fine, you did it. He's gonna be in the mask the whole movie. No one knows who he is until the end. He takes a mask and, oh my God, it's Tony Stark. That would have really popped and really gotten people excited for Secret Wars. Personally.
Yeah.
Because then if we didn't know about it, imagine the theater and you see that shit. Fuck. You know what I'm saying? That would have got people nuts. They don't keep the secret, so you kind of lose that already. Right? So if he is in the mask, who cares? We know it's Robert Downey Jr. And which I'm thinking now he's gonna be out of the mask more than in the mask. That's already a problem too. You don't pay a guy $100 million for his voice. You just don't. Right. I'm sorry. If you do, that's just a bad business move. What's the point? Put anybody in the mask. Who cares?
It's the same reason why Harrison Ford didn't grow a mustache. Right. He paid for the Harrison face.
Right, exactly. This is what people come to see, right? So if you don't put a mask, it's a waste of time. What's the point? So that's a concern too. So I don't know what's the rest. Look, and all this talk, this could be the greatest thing you've ever seen. Maybe it is. I still think it's too soon. There's no time to set up Doom. We got Thunderbolts and Captain America. They have nothing to do with nothing that's going on. Nothing. That's going to be Deadpool's.
Right.
Its own thing with a third of the quality. I guarantee you that. Guarantee. Fantastic Four is the only film that's really meant to be set up anything moving forward, including that. So you got one movie, and then maybe another one in February, March, which they haven't announced next year before they drop the Doomsday.
Did you hear a rumor as well that after Doomsday, there's supposed to be 2 movies before Secret Wars, and those 2 movies will be set in the battle world that Doom creates?
I don't know how they're gonna set that up, because who's gonna be there? I mean, it depends.
That's just a rumor, but
it depends what the secret. Listen, Marvel doesn't really follow these storylines, right?
Right.
They don't. Secret Invasion is a great example of they just shit the bed on that, right?
Drop the ball.
Even Civil War, which they did really well, was nothing like the real Civil War.
Nothing like to
That's
the
what I'm saying.
Of what the
right. So Secret Wars could be just something so different from what we're thinking. We're thinking this. I honestly don't think it's gonna be anything like we've read before. They're just taking the name and the title and basing it very, very loosely around something like that.
Well, here's the thing, man. There is no comic book storyline in Marvel, like a major one, called Doomsday. There's Doom War.
Sure.
But there's no Doomsday. So this is all uncharted territory.
Yeah, which is what I think Secret Wars is going to be. This kind of the same thing. I think it's taking like the very basics of it, and which I'm fine with. I have no problem with that. Just do it well. You did it well in
Right.
Civil War. You did a shit with Secret Invasion.
Sure.
It happens. So I'm just very. This is very. I think it's too soon. This need another year out. There should be 2027 for this film.
Well, I think that's why you hire the Russos, is because they can work at a crunch. They've done this before.
They can work but should they is what I'm saying. I don't know. Because now things are moving too fast. Like, let this breathe. Let's build this. Let's build Doom up right to wherever he's going to be introduced. We're probably gonna get a post-credit scene. Just Snyder, who broke the story I talked about with Robert Downey potentially being Doom, has said he's likely not going to appear in a post-credit scene in Fantastic Four.
He's gonna be in Fantastic Four.
No, he said it.
Yeah.
Well, from what he's read, I mean, like I said, he's very good. He's right 80% of the time.
Right. Sure.
And he said it's going to come out. It's probably going to be. It's no coincidence they announced him right a few days before they started filming this. He's not going to be in Fantastic Four per se as a character, just only in credit scene or post credit scene, just to kind of lay a smaller egg, whatever. Which again, the surprise is out. Who cares? Like if they hadn't said, they should have just kept this quiet. They really should have. What if Fantastic Four, and then we see in the same thing they're unmasking, and it's at the post credit scene with Robert Downey Jr. People would have lost their minds. They would have lost their minds. That's gone now. You took that away from should have kept it a secret. You could have called it Doomsday. You could have announced that. Cool. We know Doctor Doom's coming. It was inevitable. We all knew that. Russo brothers, great. And then left it at that. But it's so secret. Wait till Fantastic Four. The reveal Robert
what
Downey.
They could have done is brought in the Russos. Whew. And then when they were going to announce the fifth movie, not Secret Wars, it would have been cool if like Doom hacked the screen, and then it says all kneel before Doom, and then it shattered, then it went realigned, and when it said Avengers Doomsday, and they said that's it, and they ended it like that.
That's what I'm saying, right?
That would have been cool.
They should have kept Rob Downey quiet until that reveal, because you could have revealed it and still gotten the same hype a year later. Yeah. At the end of Fantastic Four, and that would have gotten more buzz. Oh my god! Now I gotta go see it, and then. You get an announcement a year before the movie comes out to promote that movie is coming out, which is now going to star Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom.
Let me break this in a way that non-nerds can try to explain to people what we're talking about here. It's sort of like you could be one of these guys who sends a girl a picture of your penis, or you could be a French athlete that loses the Olympics because your penis gets stuck on the bar while you're going to the high jump. Let your actions speak for yourself, is what I'm saying.
Very impressive.
You don't have to brag about it. You don't got to put it out there. Let it get in the way of your success and go, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if you noticed or not."
Like,
but that's
damn. Talk about a French roll right there. Oof, good Lord. It's impressive. Listen, I'm come to my sexuality and say that I give credit where credit's due. So kudos.
I had the athletic hawk.
Kudos to the French guy. We should all be so lucky or unlucky, I guess, as the case may be. But let's see. I mean, we'll wait for more announcements, but it's interesting. I don't know, but we'll find out. It should have just done X-Men. Just called it a day, man. just do X-Men. I got a feeling. I don't think I really hope so. That after Secret Wars, they end this run of the MCU and just now reboot with the X-Men only.
They got it. They've said they're going to do it.
They're going to do X-Men, but we know if it's going to be.
No, I think it's the worst kept secret ever. Is that this reboot is to recast the whole MCU with the Fantastic Four, who's going to be still established, and then all the mutants as well. And when I say whole, I mean the OG MCU, the Phase 1, 2, 3 MCU.
Right, just start fresh. Whatever, they can reboot the whole thing. Whatever, you don't. If you're going to do all new characters,
you can keep people who are down to, like. If Benedict Cumberbatch wants to stay as Doctor Strange, let him do Doctor Strange. I have no problem with that.
It depends. Alright, I just rather not do MCU. Just do X-Men. Like no MCU characters for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh no, I think they should be, but in the background. They should not be foreground anymore. It should be X-Men in the forefront.
They could be existing. It's fine, but we don't want to see how this. Let's just focus on X-Men and those storylines. Really build.
X-Men and Fantastic Four are the two big IPs that should be going forward.
And let's see. We'll find out if that's the case. We don't know yet, but that's something I like to see. But we'll find out. Listen, whatever. I mean, I'll get excited after Fantastic Four.
Fair.
Because I think that's the one's going to tell us that if that movie sucks, then we're in deep shit. As far as I'm concerned, that movie's got to hit. I don't care if Captain could suck and so could Thunderbolts. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
those are the last remnants of the old regime.
Right. So if it's bad, fine. If it's good, fine. I don't think we
It's
get
like the
factually either way.
Flash. We're like, okay, if it's good, but it doesn't matter.
Right,
So,
exactly. Inconsequential. And then now Fantastic Four. Now let's see where we're going with this, because that's the only one that's really going to point us in the right direction or wrong direction.
Absolutely.
But that being said, it's time, dude. Let's get to the goodies. The goodies is the squad, the D.A.N.G.E.R Squad. Those are unfamiliar with D.A.N.G.E.R Squad, it's a little project being worked on Mr. De Silva over here.
Many moons.
I'm sorry?
Many moons been working on this project.
Many moons. We've been talking this for a while. We've been hinting this for a while. It's time to kind of, you're getting closer to the actual unveiling officially, right?
Yeah.
So for the people out there, what is D.A.N.G.E.R Squad? What is the premise of D.A.N.G.E.R Squad? If you will.
I'll give you the origin story that'll lead to the premise.
Okay.
Origin story is pretty simple. If you are a regular viewer of the show, you know that my kids are I love nerding out with my kids. I love introducing for them, and I also kind of take their feedback on things and go, oh, this isn't meant for me, it's meant for them. And I kind of then help kind of reframe what I'm thinking about during certain properties and whatnot. But my kids love Gravity Falls. I mean, I've talked about it here. We just got the book of Bill for my daughter for her birthday coming up. Like we're love of Gravity Falls. My daughter and my son love Scooby-Doo. Not any Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. If you've never watched Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, watch it on Netflix. You're doing yourself a disservice not watching how good that is. It was 2 seasons and episodic, one thing built on another. Their season finale had Nazi robots and they were fighting them. So I mean, you can't get any better than that. And then as he got older, we started introducing Stranger Things. And then during the pandemic, everything shut down and I stopped going on the road. So I was reading my kids' bedtime stories. And eventually we blew through all the bedtime stories. And I was like, what do you guys want to read now? And they're like, none. We're bored. I was like, should I order a new book from Amazon? They're like, no. You're a comedian. Make something up. I was like, oh, okay, cool. No pressure. I'm just going to make up an IP on the spot to entertain children when they're already bored of everything, which is like an uphill battle. I rather perform to like a drunk audience than 2 apathetic kids. So I'm just like, wow. So I just started thinking about, they like Gravity Falls, they like Scooby-Doo, they like Stranger Things. Let me do a version like that, put a little spin on it, make it a little twisty, see what we do. And I came up with a story. And I basically came up with, and Jose, you can back me up with this one here. It is very hard, and we've talked about this on the show a lot, being a Latino nerd. We don't get a lot of Latino nerd shout-outs. We have actors who do things, but they're never playing Latinos. Your big gripe, Oscar Isaac, plays everybody but a Hispanic. Rosario Dawson played an alien, not a Hispanic. We don't get a lot of Hispanic. Just to let you know, I'm not a Star Trek fan. But when I heard they cast a Hispanic actor on a Star Trek TV series, I watched it. I didn't know he was playing a Native American, which technically could still count, but his name was Chicote, which in Spanish means foot stank. That is not a cool sci-fi name. I don't care what. It upset me. So, I mean, listen, X-Men 87 just gave the Brazilian sunspot forever ago. It was made up in the 80s. In 2024, we have to talk about 1997 to get a Brazilian in here. Like, it's all messed up. So I was like, let me make a team, this group of kids, and let me make them kids of different cultures. So I created a character, Leon Guerrero, a nervous Hispanic kid who's overweight and it deals with his with his anxiety and his fear through comedy. Yes, he's a proxy of me. I don't care putting it out there. Yes, Leon is my contribution to the sci-fi Hispanic greater ether of comicdom. I created this kid called Kevin, who is this Asian kid, and he loves movies. I always said the way I describe Kevin is he is the next Quentin Tarantino, but he's not allowed to watch Quentin Tarantino movies. Like, that is how I put him. Macy is my ode to like the Wednesday Addams of the world. But give her something you maybe not seen before. And she's a character called Layla, this really cool black girl with Afro puff pigtails, and she is an ass kicker of the highest order. Like, I wanted to get a little bit of everybody there and have them become a team dealing with the things that we love from Goonies, from Stranger Things, from Gravity Falls. And I started making up this adventure and I told it to my kids, and my kids are like, awesome, that was great. I was like, oh my God, I nailed it. So great. So the next day when I go to read them on a new bedtime story, they're like, tell it again. I was like, oh, you want to hear the same one again? And I was making it up. So I don't remember all the details. I remember the broad strokes.
Mm-hmm.
So I started trying to tell it again. They asked for the same story 6 days in a row. So on day 7, I'm a comedian. I know the rhythm of the story. Now I'm ready to tell it. I know where to make it laugh, where to accentuate. And I get there and my kids are like, we want a new story. I was like, son of a bitch. I have to make a whole new IP. And they're like, no, Dad, not a whole new story. Same characters, new adventure. I was like, oh, cool. So I started making up new adventures. Eventually, days goes into weeks, and I'm making up another story without thinking it. My kid's like, Dad, you can't say that. I'm like, did I curse? What happened? And they're like, no, because that happened in this story when they did this thing. I was like, oh, man. So now I got to write everything down because I'm writing canon. I have to make sure there's a continuity to this garbage. And then when the restrictions came away, their friends started to come sleep over. Guess what? Now they're saying stuff like, oh, can you tell us a story that you told your kids? Because they've been telling us about it. Like, holy crap. So I'm doing all this. So eventually it gets to the point that I'm like, I think I'm on something here. I think I figured something out. And of course, through comedy, I know a lot of people. I get to meet a lot of interesting people, some in the industry. And I met this woman who was an executive producer for children's animation, and I told her my idea. She loved it. We put this show together. It went all the way to a streaming service. It went all the way to the tippy top. And then they were like, hey, we're going over your packet. Everything looks really cool. But before we have our final meeting, what book is this based off of? And we're like, it's not a book. It's an original idea. And like, ooh, we're only taking pre-existing media at this time. So we couldn't cross the finish line because there's no book existing. So me and my executive producer, we brainstormed and said, well, if they need a book, let's put a book together. So I took 3 episodes from season 1 and I made a graphic novel out of it. And I started shopping around. Eventually, this indie comic company in Kentucky called Kinetic Comics loved the idea, helped us put together a Kickstarter, and we've been slowly building up the Kickstarter. And August 26th is the launch date for the Kickstarter. And if you want to support it, we would love for you to go. You can go to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad.com, and there's a link right there. It says support the Kickstarter. Click on that. It'll take you right there. If I don't have it, Jose, we'll make sure we're on the body of the description of this podcast. We'll put the link to the Kickstarter there too, so you guys can click it on there. But the goal is to have at least 50 people pre-subscribe before we launch. We're at 47. So if you see this, please either go to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad.com or click the link at the bottom of this video and support it as well. And it's over 100 pages. We have a lot of cool stuff. And we've been noticing that there's some mysterious person out there by the name of Dr. Mystery that has apparently hacked our website. And we've been trying to fix it, but every time I fix it, it goes right back in. And he's leaving these clues around. There's a mystery that I'm not that smart to figure out. But if anyone there knows how to crack a code, I suggest you go to DangerSquad.com and try to either figure out what he's saying or figure out what he's trying to do with the website, because he keeps hacking our posts. He keeps hacking the videos we put up there, and we don't know what's going on. And he just released a podcast called the Perplexing Proof Podcast, and it's just insanity. And I'm trying to make sense of it, so I need more help. So help me figure this thing out and try to get this guy out of here so we can just do the book and help us Danger Squad up. And that's what Danger Squad is. And we have a like I said, we have so many things planned, and we have so many great. I don't want to spoil anything, but like I'm always trying to figure out what kind of story can I tell that's going to be fun for my kids, but also fun for adults. And so nothing's harder than trying to run a joke by a child, because a kid will either tell you that slaps or nah, that ain't it. And that is a hard lesson when you're like, huh? Like, no, I don't want any of those at all. So every joke has been child approved by several different children to make sure I nailed it. But all the references and like the tone and some of the stuff that I'm talking about hits for adults, and they don't get it. And that's exactly what I want. I want jokes for kids. I want references and fun for adults. So it works for 8 to 13-year-olds is the ideal range for who the main demographic is. But if you're a nerd, 30 to 50, this is also going to be for you. So you can read with your kids. If you're an uncle or not, you can read it with your niece and nephews. It's a whole big project to get people to nerd out together. So, yeah.
So this squad, right? Leon is the Guerrero. He's the
Yeah.
well, he's the leader.
De
He's the leader. He's
facto
the facto leader. Whatever
leader.
the case is. So how do they know each other? Like what's the background as far as these guys? What they
Leon is both his parents work in IT, and they just got a new job, and they have to go to this town called Fish Valley. And so Leon and his brother Javi are going to this new school, and it's being reopened because the company that hired them just moved into this town and made it their new corporate headquarters. I'm assuming for tax reasons, or let's go with tax reasons for now. And so they are, he's a fish out of water. He's trying to figure out how to be in the school. And on the first day of school, riding a bus, he bumps into Kevin. And when Leon and Kevin bump into each other, Kevin immediately shows him one of his student horror films that he's been making on the weekends. And I don't know if you know anything about nerds, but as soon as you show me your nerdy thing, I'm going to show you my nerdy thing. And guess what? Now we're nerd friends. And so it goes from there. And everyone he meets is just in the course of somebody knows somebody is into something else that we need to do, and they become friends.
And they're so they get their friend, they get together. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it seems like there's some supernatural elements to this, right?
Oh,
okay, right. Obviously, I would it's a safe assumption.
In a town, the basic pitch of the book is when you find out that you live in the scariest place on earth, to stand up against the darkness, you and your friends need to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad up.
And do they? Because I see, I have some pictures of some of the characters. We got Macy. Does she have like abilities? Because it seems like
I don't know. That's something
okay.
you would have to find out.
Okay.
It might be just static electricity. There's a lot of carpeting in this town, so it could be a lot of stuff. I don't know. You would have to read that and figure out. It's just.
Okay. And who's Abigail?
Abigail is
Miss Abigail, I guess. Is that correct?
Miss Abigail. First of all, if you're a Weezer fan, as much as I am, her name is Abigail Pinkerton, because Pinkerton is one of the best Weezer albums of all time. I had to get a little shout out. I'm a way bigger Pink Floyd fan, but to call her Abigail the Wall would be hard. Well. Abigail Dark Side of the Moon sounds contrite. So I was like, all right. So Abigail Pinkerton, she is the school's history teacher. And let's just say sometimes people go into history because they just like the minutiae of how long something takes to be. And sometimes people go into history because they want to make sure the mistakes of the past aren't repeated. And that's all I could say about Abigail Pinkerton there.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm intrigued. And when is this debuting here? Let's get down to
so it's going the Kickstarter launches 8/26.
Okay.
I believe we're doing 30 days. And then once it's over and we hit our goal, it'll by mid-October, everyone should be getting their books. So just in time for Halloween, you should be getting your D.A.N.G.E.R Squad books. We're going to have multiple tiers where you can either get the graphic novel as a digital copy for 100 pages for as low as $8. Or you can get a single issue of chapter number 1, which is issue number 1, chapter 1 and 2, or chapter 1, 2, and 3. Or you can get the graphic novel. And each tier will have extras. Like, for example, maybe we'll get this really cool T-shirt that says D.A.N.G.E.R is our middle name.
That's cool.
Or we'll have we'll have figurines that glow in the dark made of the kids. So the higher the tier you invest in, the more stuff you'll get. And all you got to do is we got to hit our goal. And the goal is not crazy. I think we're still working out the number, but it's going to be a really modest goal because we want to make sure everyone gets their book. But the higher up we go, not only can you get more stuff in the tiers, but we'll also have stretch goals. So the more we accomplish to getting that big hit, the more everyone gets a bonus out of. So I encourage you guys, if you're into it, awesome. If you know someone's going to be into it, get them into it or buy it for them. It's going to be pretty cool. And we have so many great things planned. Like this is from what the feedback I'm already getting. There's a lot of interest and we might be doing some more stuff sooner rather than later.
Sooner, I say.
So I want sooner as well.
Come on, let's do it, dude. Anything that harkens back to the Goonies. I'm a kid of the 80s. It just, has a nice warm spot in my heart. It is
okay, listen. For all the 80s kids, if I'm going to be real with you guys, there's 3 80s movies that this is an homage love letter to. First is Goonies, because everyone's watched Goonies.
Sure.
Number 2, The Gate. If you ever watched The Gate,
I remember The Gate.
I love the fact of kids out of their depth thinking they know what's going on and being completely endangered by monsters that are willing to eat their eyeballs. Yeah. This book is going to be, I wanted to lean towards the gate. It doesn't start off there, but my goal is to get us to gate level because which is metal.
I haven't heard that in a while, man. I haven't heard that in a while. The gate.
Oh, I'm deep.
I remember the gate. Remember them? Yeah, like this.
And then number 3, Monster Squad.
That was something else I was gonna say. That just had. There you go. Okay, I had a feeling that was.
First of all, Monster Squad, in my opinion, has one of the top 3 werewolf designs of all time.
Yes, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. That's a kind of movie that's begging for remakes or reboots. That's something.
Dude, that's a movie that needs to get remade and reboot.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that. Cause I mean, listen, if as a kid, the movie's great. I'm sure if we're watching now, it probably won't be as good, but a lot of nostalgia, which is fine. It is the 80s. A lot of movies are like that. But that movie's begging to be remade. Begging.
By the way, I showed that movie to my kids.
Did they like it?
My daughter's 15. My son is 11. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, right? That's where they're at. I forgot how 80s this movie is.
Oh, dude.
Where there's a fat kid reading a comic book and he's getting bullied because he's reading a comic book. And my kids are like, what's wrong with reading a comic book? And then they call him the F word. I'm keeping it classy. They call it F word. And my kids are like, oh my God, they're a bunch of homophobes. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, you're wrong. You're right, but you're not. But you're wrong. But and so they're like, this is so mean. I'm like, guys, trust me, it gets better. And then by the time the movie ends, they're like, that's great. And then my son goes, so did they think that little girl wasn't a virgin? And I was like, oh God, this is way more than I was expecting. No,
that's fine.
But I see why now you would. Oh, my brain hurts. So it's a little bit. It's not a perfect execution, but it's a solid 8.8.
Yeah, I mean, different times, man. We spoke differently back then. Let's just call it
what it is. Absolutely. But I will say this: the line if you could kick a werewolf in the nuts and go, "Werewolf got N.A.R," I'm in. They laughed their asses off of that, and that's how you know it's great. That line still landed. I'm like, that's what you mean.
It's great 80s cheese, but that should be remade. That really should. I know off topic, but that's one of the ones that just sticks out. Like, man.
Listen, if this book takes off, let me do the Monster Squad remake. I already did D.A.N.G.E.R Squad. I'm ready for it. So
kind of mixed it to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad. I mean,
D.A.N.G.E.R Squad, Monster Squad crossover. Does somebody want that? I'd be down to write that too.
Just saying, just giving you ideas, dude. That's what I do. I just dropped Nugget. This is Inception, right? What happens after that? I'm out, dude. I did my job.
By the way, I want to show you this. So as you can see here, D.A.N.G.E.R is an anagram.
That was the last thing I wanted to ask you about that.
Oh, okay.
If you can divulge that.
Yes, I can divulge it. By the way, if you go to DangerSquad.com on Danger Updates, one of the updates explains what it is and goes into full detail about what it is. But I wanted to do something where so many things have just a title that I always... Let's bring this back to our conversation on this podcast, the MCU. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when Coulson was trying to get
the Shield,
time to interview Pepper Potts?
Yeah.
And he had this strategic Coleman. She's like, that's a mouthful. It's like, we're working on it. And he goes, just call us Shield. Like, that was in our face the whole movie. And when he landed on Shield, I was like, that's awesome. That was so cool. I love that. So, once again, everything about this is a love letter to something else that I grew up with that I enjoyed. So I was like, I don't want to just have a name. The name should be part of a bigger context. So I thought, how cool it would be if Danger stood for something. And after working out for a while, I finally figured out Danger stands for Dark Anomalies, Nightmarish Ghouls, Exciting Rescues.
That's interesting.
D.A.N.G.E.R Squad.
That's good. I like that. That's funny. I knew there was something behind. I was like, man, that's gotta stand for
something. It's all. Listen, every part of this book is about having fun. There's so many other things I want to tell you, but I've got to wait until the book comes out.
Of course, yeah. We'll dive in more once it's released, and we can talk about it and get more into it and all that. But I guess I'll put the D.A.N.G.E.R Squad link below the video and all that.
Appreciate
I'll have the link to the podcast as well, which I can put on there as well.
Sweet.
I'll put that on there for you guys to check out.
Yeah, and listen, apparently from what I heard, because he's been hacking other people's websites, from what I heard, that there's claims that he's going to release a new episode every Monday, And apparently, since our Kickstarter launches on 8/26, I don't know if something's going to happen when he launches that podcast and our Kickstarter launches, but keep an eye out for that because I'm a little bit nervous. So I need everyone's help to figure out, to make sure we're safe and make sure that doesn't affect the other things. So help us out with that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I put those links. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to checking this out. Go to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad. Subscribe. Help him out. It's going to be worth it. Listen, Monster Squad meets Goonies, meets The Gate, meets Stranger Things. It's all
Gravity
good.
Falls,
It's all
it's
good.
all
It's
there.
like a soup with your
Clues,
favorite stuff
mysteries.
in there. You know? I think what you call ajiaco as far as my country. Just some potatoes, some oxtail in there, yuca, you know, I guess.
In Brazil, it's called the mexido. It's all mixed in. It's all mixed in, baby. So
it just smells delicious. I can smell it already.
And it comes out, you put a bunch of great flavors and make a brand new flavor. It reminds you of everything, but gives you a little bit new. Yeah, that's how we do.
Toss a little egg in there. Oh my God, so good.
Oh,
you know
forget
what
about
it.
That's
Come
it.
on now, that's what I'm talking about. So look
Making
out
me
for
hungry,
that.
Jose. I can't eat it this time. It's me back my body. What do you want me to do?
Damn, I want some soup now. But
I know.
It says we look forward to it. Really do checking us out. We'll talk more about it. We're weeks away from it, so we'll keep bringing it up. D.A.N.G.E.R Squad.com. I'll put the link below. That being said, Eric, those are the nuggets for the week.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support you've been giving us so far. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe here on the Latin Nerd Network. We can watch Nerdsplaining as much of shows as The Watch List and Dennis's Choice. Don't forget to go to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad.com. Once again, D.A.N.G.E.R Squad.com. It spells like it sounds. All the information to sign up to our Kickstarter as well. Don't forget to find out our social medias at Nerdsplaining Pod on Instagram, at Nerdsplaining_ on X Twitter, and go to D.A.N.G.E.R Squad up on all the social medias: TikTok, X, Instagram, Threads. It's all there. Don't forget to follow D.A.N.G.E.R Squad up. It's all there available for you as well. Guys, my name has been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom.